Hey there! Welcome to episode 270 of Fresh Air at 5. In this episode, we talk about a thing called distress tolerance and how we need to support our students and not bail them out of struggle. Oh my goodness, what a topic. You know, as a parent, I like to make sure my kids don't do that, but I have to be actually mindful that I let my kids struggle through some things and don't rescue them too soon. My children are growing into adults at this point, and that is part of adulting. So here we go. That's what they're doing. Also in this episode, we talk about artificial intelligence as a thought partner and some other important, relevant things at the beginning of the week. Get going and take a listen. Appreciate you being here. Share this with another, and let me know what you think. Drop me a PM on Twitter or Blue Sky. That would be fantastic. All right, without further ado, here's episode 270 of Fresh Air at 5.
I'm Chris Nessie, host of Behind the Mic, Voices of the EPN, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwe First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey, PLN, it's July 27, 2026. Out for Fresh Air at 5 today on the first day of my vacation. I slept in this morning and I'm out now with Archie, our little dog, and him and I are out for a walk. And this morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode 300 of EdTech Bites with Gabriel Carrillo. And Gabe, congratulations to you on making it to episode 300. That is fantastic. That is a goal for me in the near future, as I've got, about 30 episodes to go till I get there with Fresh Air 5. And I really appreciate your reflection as you talked about your podcasting journey, why you started it, and what you're planning on doing moving forward. You know, as you know, podcasting is about consistency. It's about regularity. It's about professional development, and it's about connecting. And I appreciate your desire to connect with guests in person. I haven't done that a lot because I don't have guests. I just reflect and review about podcasts that I've listened to, like yours, for example, and others. But through my connections, virtually, actually through social media, on Twitter, Blue Sky, you know, my podcast network has grown. You know, different than having interviews. You know, I'm kind of jealous about that, but that's not why I started my thing. My thing is about sharing what I'm learning, my professional development, and what I am learning so that I can share it with others. And that is the means of what I'm doing. Congratulations to you. Imposter syndrome, consistency, and trimming the fat. I appreciate your reflection on these three things. So best to you, Gabe, and I look forward to listening to more episodes of you as you head into the next 300 with a change of format and how you go about doing what you do. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a fabulous day. Okay, bye. All right, the last thing for July 27, 2026. I just listened to episode 955 of the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. She has on guest Dr. Jeff Bogazics, and he talks with Vicki about how to teach confident communicators. And so the whole point there is that this is about human-centered connections in our world today, in our world of social media and TV screens and computers and all those things, about being confident communicators in our classroom. Teachers need to be confident communicators as we walk into our classroom. What is confident communication about? It's about making sure those that we are communicating to get our message. Sometimes we, being the content experts, know the content, and we fail to communicate the content that we're trying to teach. We need to slow down, ask the questions, make sure our students are getting it. I was very curious to hear him talk about that confidence and how we can ensure that we are raising our students to leave school with confidence. So very important. I see so many students as I work at my in-person classroom as well as my online teaching space that just don't have the confidence. And how can we make sure that we're doing that? So take a listen for yourself. This is about human-centered connections, SEL, and emotional intelligence as we move forward with our students. All right, that's all I got for now. We'll talk to you soon. And Vicki, I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it is Tuesday, July 28, 2026. Out for fresh air at 5 midday and getting some fresh air here. It's 20 degrees Celsius, and when I stepped out, it started to drizzle on me, but it stopped, so that is over. Today, as I'm walking, I listened to the EdTech Throwdown with Eric Geis and Nick Johnson as they bring us 10 EdTech tools for study, skills, and problem solving. And they talk about a number of different tools that are AI-powered, possibly, or other resources that are databases of information, like courses that you could take online, to Math GPT, that is a math problem solver to help students with study skills and understanding those things. Some DIY, helpers, things like Instructables, and other ways of using our ed tech to solve some problems. I heard of YouTube, guys, and apparently that's pretty good for like helper videos, but the ones that you guys offer is actually sound much better, like Instructables and that last one. I can't remember. It was the very last one that Nick or that Eric you talked about, where you can create agents to help with what was it called? I can't remember. With some tasks, like you guys, when you record an episode, this agent runs in this tool and summarizes, prepares social media posts, prepares some text, some summaries, keywords, and all those kinds of things from your episode to help get the information out after you do your podcast recording. That's way beyond me at this point. But hey, I appreciate you sharing it. So now I am aware, and you should be aware too, listener of mine, as you get out there and listen to what Eric and Nick have to share today. This is a long list, 10 things, and you can't do them all, but it's important that we're aware of some EdTech tools, and that is a big reason why I listen to the EdTech Throwdown, because I get some ideas, things percolate, and later I go, oh yeah, I remember that was on an episode, and I go back and listen to it. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon, and later today, I'm going to be doing an interview. I'm going to be an interviewee with Vicki Davis of the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, so I'm looking forward to that and talking with Vicki. Talk to you guys. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN. It is Wednesday, July 29, 2026. We're almost at the end of July, and I'm out for fresh air at 5. It's a beautiful day. It's about 20 degrees Celsius over some clouds, but the sun is shining through, so it's going to be a nicer day than yesterday. I've got some tasks at home. I'm working on a renovation in the bathroom. So I got some tasks in the bathroom to work on, and we're going to continue tiling tonight. My buddy's over giving me a hand with tiling our bathtub shower space. So it's exciting, and I'm learning a lot of things by watching him work. All right, this morning I listened to episode 352 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. And the episode is called Why Distress Tolerance is the Missing Piece in Classroom Management. Now, Angela, I had an idea what you're going to talk about distress tolerance and how we need to have our students become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's a cliche saying, but what does that actually mean? How do we get our students to sit with boredom, sit with quiet, sit with a challenge that is beyond their capacity and work through what they can do to achieve said challenge? The little steps along the way. Now, I see this in my students in my classroom. I see this in my children, my own children in my home. And my youngest graduated from high school, and I have watched this over time, and I have observed how distress is so uncomfortable, and we want to run away from it. Now, as a good parent, I have protected, at points, my kids from distress. If it's something that is beyond their capacity, I can help them do that. Or I can talk them through how to achieve that. But then there's other times when I have to let my children work through stuff on their own. My daughter, the other night, is house sitting for some friends and got back to the house and discovered that the freezer was ajar and had melted. And all of everything inside had thawed out, and there was water all over the floor. She called me almost in tears and was like, "Dad, you know what? I have an idea what to do, but I just need to talk you through it." And I'm like, I was so proud of her because she's working through this hard thing on her own. And I'm there to support. I'm not there to criticize, but to help her as she needs to work through some stuff. So in this episode 352 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers, Angela talks about how we can provide opportunities to discuss discomfort in learning. There's a word, frustration. And when frustration is related to learning, then that's important. Take a listen for yourself. Fantastic. Thank you, Angela, for wrapping this up and summing this up for me so eloquently. Okay, bye. One more thing for July 29, 2026. The Inspired Athlete, Season 3, Episode 18, has Mike Brilla bring us an episode entitled, Why did we stop? You know what? Hang on a second. I can't remember. Hang on. It's about how to stop saving our kids from losing, reframing failure and anxiety in our athletes. So it's very much like that. Not 100%, but the point is that, you know what? Losing is a necessary part of winning and success. Having setbacks is a necessary part of learning. And Mike, you know what? You're talking to coaches and athletes, but this applies so much to the rest of the non-athletic world. And you talked about how athletics is such an important stepping stone for students to being successful in the rest of their life as they learn about failure and about challenge and struggle and working hard in a fun environment as opposed to the real life environment, which not necessarily all the time is super fun. There's days, and you know what? It's true. You and I both know that as we go through our adult life, there are days when it's just not fun. But if we don't keep on pressing and keep working hard, we're not going to get through those non-fun days so that we can get to the fun days. And, you know, this is on the heels of my last listen, Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers, and she talked there about distress tolerance. This is the same kind of thing. How do we teach our athletes and our students about working through failure? When we have a setback, we have a loss, how do we work through that with our students? When we give them a lesson that is challenging and they struggle with it, do we let them sit in that struggle for a while? So, you know what, Mike? I appreciate your thoughts. Super awesome, because this is a significant part that I've actually been noticing lately that students of mine in my face-to-face classrooms as well as on my online classrooms, they need to work through what's involved in being able to pull this off about getting through the failure. So appreciate your thoughts. And yes, I need to work with my students this year to talk about frustration and discouragement and those feelings that are so there that we have to figure out how to work through them so that we can be stronger on the other side. All right, thanks, appreciate it. And people, take a listen to The Inspired Athlete and this episode about working through stress. Okay, bye. The last thing for July 29, 2026. All right, wrapping up my walk this morning, I listened to episode 957 of the 10-Minute Teacher podcast with Vicki Davis, as it is Wonderful Wednesday in the classroom with an educator, and talking about classroom practice and how, we are looking at different things in our classrooms. And today is about AI in the classroom, creating assignments that students can't fake, and looking at how we can talk about AI literacy, in quotations, Vicki, about, teaching students about responsible use, digital citizenship, about verifying sources. How can we do that all the way down to having our students be truth investigators and try to figure out what is true and what is not, even at the youngest of ages, as they are even in kindergarten and grade 2 and, younger ages, about understanding what is true and what is not, and how can we tell and learn these things as we move through later elementary and into middle school, talking about, looking and verifying sources and understanding whether or not something is true or not. So there's a lot in here. And Nancy Fry, she talks about, having students be transparent about their use of AI and talking about the importance of understanding where things come from. Because it's not just a matter of, bright students using AI and getting away with cheating. That's not about it. It's about talking about responsible use of these things. And so there's a lot going on. All right. This is short and sweet today, Vicki. And thanks so much for having me as a guest in the future on your podcast. So people, keep an eye out for Carpenter on the 10-Minute Teacher podcast in the future. Vicki said something maybe about October or so, but we'll see. And I will listen and I'll reflect right here. All right. Thanks all. Have a fabulous day, because I'm going to. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it's Friday, July 31st, 2026. The last day of July here, and it is the end of July. We're about halfway through the summer. So yeah, out walking this morning. It's a beautiful day. It's already probably about 21 degrees Celsius, and it's going to get to a warm one of about 28 a bit later. All right, this morning I listened to episode 269 of the House of Ed Tech with Chris Nesi, as he talks with Tara Altair out of Arizona, who's a chemistry teacher who is using AI in her classroom as a thinking partner. And now she talks about how she does chemistry and stoichiometry, balancing equations, chemical and physical changes, and challenges the students to examine the results that AI is giving as a way of talking about whether it's good or not. So yeah, that's going on. Chris also brings us, and that's a really good conversation. It's about the relevance of it and understanding the CARE acronym, the importance of being intentional with our use of AI, things like that. Also has to do with, oh, hey, puppy. Hi, there's Archie. Say hi, Archie. So it's about, being relevant and ethics in all of these things. Later, before that, in Chris's EdTech Thought, he talks about AI providing a way for school districts and schools and teachers in their classroom to create apps that solve the needs in their classroom, about like creating EdTech tools. And vibe coding is a way that we can get at that. And the question is, should we be doing that, or should we be having the EdTech companies do that? The amount of money that's being spent on these things, and looking at whether it's best practice for us to do so. But it is possible. Just because it's possible, should we be doing it? Looking at how we use student data in these processes so that we can protect their privacy, things like that, or not. So that's the EdTech thought that Chris brings us. He brings us a tool from NASA that we can put in a word, and NASA uses satellite imagery that it has collected over a long time and finds the letters of those words and puts together kind of a collage, I think, of those. I'm going to go check that out, Chris. I'm pretty excited about that. You are on episode 269 right now. This is the episode that I'm listening to, and I just dropped episode 269 of Fresh Air at 5. So that's like a coalescence of our episodes over time, which is pretty nifty. I like that. You also talk about, is AI breaking school or is it exposing it? You know, it's not breaking school, it's exposing what's going on in school, and we need to be mindful so they're teaching, learning, and not just content. Okay, we'll talk to you. Have a fabulous day. Bye. I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself because you are worth it.